BookTube, my name is Elizabeth and welcome to Book Babble. Today is Wednesday and that means it is Top 5 Wednesday. Today, the Top 5 Wednesday topic is Top 5 Favorite Audiobooks. Now, I've only listened to a handful of audiobooks and I can only come up with 3 that I actually really enjoyed the audiobooks of, but then I'll talk about one that I didn't like at all. So, let's just get started. So the very first audiobook that I actually listened to was the audiobook for Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I had requested Outlander from the library in paperback form, and it's just like you only have 2 weeks to read it. And then that was at the time where the Outlander TV series had just come out, and you can't renew because everyone wants it. And there was just no way I was finishing an 800-page book in 2 weeks. I was working full time at the time. It was just ridiculous. So I listened to the audiobook, and it was amazing. The woman who did Claire's voice did an amazing job, and she had, that perfect Irish accent for, just, it was amazing. I loved it. It was so good. And I was able to get through an 800-page book in like less than 4 or 5 days. I think I read it or listened to it because I just listened to it constantly because her voice was just so soothing and so nice to listen to. And then, of course, Outlander itself, the book is epic. It's so amazing. If you have not read Outlander yet, I highly recommend it. It was really good. But yeah, I loved the Outlander series. And the audiobook was really great. I haven't listened to any of the other audiobooks from the series. And I haven't had a chance to read the physical books yet either. I just really loved the first one. The TV show is really great. I highly recommend the Outlander audiobook. And the second book series that I read, or that I listened to on audiobook, was actually the Selection series by Kira Cass. I needed a book to listen to in the car on the way to and from work, and at the time my work was like 45 minutes away, and the Selection series books are only like 5 hours or something like that. Like, they're relatively short because they're short books. So it only took me a couple of days to go through each one, and I ended up finishing the Selection, the Elite, and the One within like a week, maybe 2 weeks at max, and I was just addicted. Like, the woman who did the audiobook did it very well. She sounded exactly like I would expect America Singer to sound like. It was just really good. And then, of course, the series is just something that I really enjoy reading about. I really loved it. Her voice was perfect for the thing. She had really good pacing, and she didn't pause too long or too short on certain places. She just did it really well. And when I ended up reading the physical book of The Air when it came out a couple of months ago, and I didn't enjoy the experience as much as if I had listened to the audiobook. And now, since The Air is from a different person's perspective, it's from America's Daughter, I'm not sure if the same person does the audiobook, but I would be really interested in reading or listening to the audiobook just to see if it's as good as I liked with the first 3 books in the series. But I loved the Selection series. If you guys are looking for an audiobook but you've already read the Selection, I still highly recommend listening to the audiobook because the woman who does the narration for it is just really good. And the last series that I want to talk about that I really enjoyed was the Defy series by Sarah B. Larson. The first 2 books are called Defy and Ignite, and this is kind of an underrated series. It's fantasy, but it's set in like a forest type thing, but it's just like any other fantasy. It's just set in a forest area, like jungle kingdom. It's really cool, and I really enjoyed this fantasy series. I think it's way underrated for how good it is. If you enjoyed Throne of Glass, I really think you would enjoy this series. And I listened to the audiobooks of these 2 just because I needed something to listen in the car. It was the same time period where I was listening to audiobooks for 45 minutes to and from work. So it was just really good. I remember listening to this audiobook and literally not being able to stop listening to it. I would have my headphones in, like I would listen to it in the car, and then I would put my headphones in and I would walk like to my room. I had this little ledge in the shower where I would put my phone so it wouldn't get wet, and I would listen to it in the shower, and I would put my headphones in and listen to it just walking around the house, eating, doing like just anything. I just could not stop listening to this audiobook of Defy and Ignite, and again, it's because the narrator was super, super good and the story was super, super good. I loved these two books, and I'm really excited because the third book in the series, Endure, comes out this month or next month. I don't remember. I just know I'm really, really excited for it. And because it's just coming out and I need it in my hands like right now, I'm probably not going to listen to the audiobook of it. I'm probably just going to get it in physical form, which I'm kind of bummed about because the audiobooks were just so, so good. So yeah, those are the three books slash series that I loved in audiobook. Now I'm going to talk about one that I did not like at all. And I actually just talked about this on my last week's weekly wrap up because I literally just finished it a couple of days ago or like a week ago or something. And that is the Seraphina series by Rachel Hartman. I've only listened to Seraphina, and the audiobook was horrible. The girl who did it I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just because of the type of book that it is. Like, it is a very in-depth, kind of confusing book. Like, there was lots of weird names and weird titles, and like some of the people were like had names and titles, and sometimes they would get called their names and sometimes they would get called their titles, and it's not like normal titles that you hear now. It's like just they were made up titles that were made up for the book, and so it was just really confusing. And only being able to listen to it now, I work like 10, maybe 5 minutes, between 5 and 10 minutes away, depending on traffic, and so only listening to it in 5 minute spurts, I guess I wasn't able to remember the information as well when I was listening to an audiobook for 45 minutes on the way to work. So I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I'm not sure. Now I'm listening to a different audiobook, which is The Eldest by Christopher Paolini, on my way to work, and I'm enjoying that one a lot more. So I really don't think it's the length of time that I'm listening to it. I really think it's because of the story or the audiobook, the girl who did it. She was kind of hard to understand. She had a very thick English accent, and I've never heard someone with such a thick English accent. I really didn't enjoy it that much at all. So I don't recommend the audiobook, but the story was pretty good. Other than the fact that it was made confusing by the audiobook, I would recommend the print form of the book, but I would not recommend the audiobook at all. I think I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars just because the story was good, but the audiobook was horrible. But that's pretty much it for my Top 5 Wednesday. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is also day 2 of Vlogmas, and tomorrow I will be having another video out. So I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!